There is a minor repair and maintenance exception, and if less than 6 square feet in the interior or 20 square feet on the exterior is being disturbed, then it falls outside of the rule, and you don't have to follow the requirements. Now, there's a 60-day rule, and I think it's coming up in a couple slides, which says that, 30-day rule, which says that you have to look at all the repairs that you're doing within a 30-day period. So if today you're only disturbing 5 square feet of painted surface, but next week in that same room, you're going to be disturbing another, or in that same area, you're going to be disturbing another 6 feet. Sometimes jobs require multiple days. In one day you'll disturb a certain amount, another day you'll disturb a little bit more. You have to add up all of the disturbance within a 30-day period. And if it equals more than 6 square feet, then you're going to have to abide by the rule. Yes?
So let's say you're just doing window ledges. You got 3 windows.
Mm-hmm.
That would probably be less than that square feet you're talking about.
He's asking about window ledges. What are you doing to the window ledges?
Where the peeling paint is generally going to be if there is lead-based paint.
Right. Typically, he said where lead-based paint usually is, and that's true because lead-based paint is much more durable paint, so they traditionally used it around on windows or areas that were exposed to a lot of sun. So that's traditionally where you will find more lead-based paint is on windowsills. If you are disturbing, if you're just an area, I mean, again, it's 6 square feet. So if you're disturbing, and it depends on how you're disturbing it. If you're ripping the window out, we'll talk about in a minute, that never falls within the exception or the minor repair allowance. So if you're actually doing window replacements, I don't care if it's a window this big, it's not going to fall within the exception unless you've had a certified contractor come in and certify that it has no lead-based paint in it. So, but if you're not ripping the window out, you're just painting the window. Again, if you're not doing anything but painting over, it doesn't apply. But if you're scraping the window down first before you paint over it, then you're going to have to look at that 6 square feet issue. And if it adds up to more than 6 square feet, it's less than it won't apply. More than it will.
Within how many days?
30 days. Yeah, and that's in your slides as well. It's the 30-day rule, or referred to as the 30-day rule. As I said, minor maintenance and repair never includes window replacement. It never includes demolition of surface areas. You can never, even under the exception, you can never use the open flame burning or any of the other restricted practices, even if it's a minor repair. And the exception on the window replacement and the demolition of surface areas is in the event you've had a determination from a certified renovator that the area is lead-free. Okay? They're using a spot kit that has been recognized by the EPA, and all of those results have to be disclosed to the owner and the tenant. And in a case of a buyer or purchasing the property of the buyer. Yes?
Are the spot tests intrusive? I mean, do they reflect stuff?
You know, that's a good question, and I got asked that question in Ruidoso, and I have, right now, I said no, they are not, because it was my understanding, and I was told from some folks that I talked to in the business that they were not going to be invasive. It's a little confusing to me because I do have to get down to the very base coat. So in talking with someone else since the conference, they have said that they are invasive. Now, they just need a little bit so they can do it in a very inconspicuous area. But yes, I think that there will be, and I'm a little fuzzy on that actually, but I think that they will be slightly invasive because they have to get down to the first coat of paint. Going back to your earlier question about the cost of this job, but again, that assumes that everybody's doing a lot of these things already, which I don't know if they are or they aren't. If they aren't, then the cost is going to be greater than $65. This slide talks about compliance and how it's determined. As I said, they'll inspect sites, they'll do random inspections of records, they'll have a hotline established, I'm sure, any day now for people to call and report issues if they see things that aren't being done correctly. EPA has a small business policy, enforcement policy, and it encourages small businesses, which they define as less than 100 employees, to self-report. And they have guidelines for reducing or eliminating penalties for small businesses that come forward and say, we didn't do this the right way, we want to make it right, and then they make a good faith effort to remedy the situation, and EPA cuts them some slack. So EPA, recognizing that they don't have a whole lot of people that can go out and do this, are asking everybody to tell on themselves and their neighbors. That's how they're going to enforce this thing. So, some frequently asked questions that have already been asked here today: is painting included? Not if it's not disturbed. Okay, so if you're just painting over a surface, then it's not included in this. Are renovations performed by landlords or employees or property management firms covered? Yes. So those property managers who are doing their repairs in-house are going to have to send somebody to get certified. Can the pamphlet be delivered at any time before work begins? As we talked about, we have the 60-day rule, and then we have mailing of no less than 7 days. So there are some requirements on when that has to be delivered. And they must be able to certify the period of time for mailing. Where can I find a certified renovator? EPA website has a list, and I don't know what it looks like right now. So I took a look at it before, probably about 3 weeks ago or so, and it's growing every day, I can tell you that. I did look at it over a period of few days, and every day there were new names on there. But like I said, in Farmington right now, I'm being told there's one person that can do these things. Does the rule apply to work I perform on my own home? No, it does not. So you can do work on your own home all day long if it's an owner-occupied. And your tenants, like I said, in property management can do their own repairs, but if you rebate any portion of the rent, then it falls outside the exception, because they actually are being compensated for the work. And if they're being compensated, then it falls under the rule. Yes?
So you have a house for sale, it's before 1978, it needs a bunch of repairs, the tenants move out before the new people move in and, take ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Can the person just do it on their own?
So in this case, the question was, you're selling a pre-1978 house that has a tenant in it. The tenant moves out prior to the buyer moving in. The buyer intends to occupy the property. And does this fall within the rule? Well, it's not rental property from the owner's perspective at that point. And so I think that it would not fall underneath the rule from the owner's perspective. They would not be required. But again, as a buyer's broker, I'd be asking that the certified firm do all the renovations, because I would want to make sure that they were done correctly, especially if I had any children under 6 moving in, or any pregnant women. So no, I don't believe that would be required of the owner, because it was no longer a rental property at that point. But again, I think as a buyer's broker, you would want to see that, or as a buyer, you would want to have it done that way. Does the seller or seller's broker have to disclose the results of any testing? That's a no-brainer, isn't it? Everybody knows the answer to that. And we're going to see a lot more disclosures of lead-based paint tests because of this. Because now, any renovation, for example, that's being done on this rental property, they might be having these spot test kits done to determine if it's necessary, and those results are going to have to be disclosed to potential buyers. So what should you do? Make sure contractors on your list are certified by the EPA. So if you're making recommendations on these pre-1978 houses, make sure you've done some homework and that the people you're recommending are certified. And check their references. And again, look for plastic, lots of plastic. And these pertain more to property managers, pros and cons of either getting someone in your office or certified to do the repairs, or whether or not you just want to go outside and hire firms outside. Talks about some pros and cons of that. This is another issue. It could come up in situations with sales. It's going to come up a lot in rental property, where, which is why you guys will probably see a lot more of these test results. Because property managers, when they take on a pre-1978 house, are going to maybe be suggesting to their owners, I want you guys to get the house tested. And I know that's a big expense on the front end, but if it's doesn't have any lead-based paint in it, I can bring in anybody to do the repairs, and that's going to save you money on the back end.